the unfolding crisis in Haiti, let's bring in author and journalist Michael Deibert. Thanks very much for your time and for joining us on the program today. As we've heard, gangs are causing mayhem, killing indiscriminately, breaking open prisons and blocking aid. Nearly half the country is hungry, 1 million people are starving. And how did we get to this point?
Basically, for the last 2 decades and change, various political and economic actors in Haiti have been making common cause with illegal armed groups, especially in the capital, but also elsewhere in the country as well. And over time, as the kind of pillars of the state and the pillars of the official security forces degraded, those armed groups became more powerful, and it kind of dovetailed with the institutional vacuum that came after the assassination of Jovenel Moïse, the president, in 2021, but it predated that by quite a number of years.
Of course, we know that there's been emergency negotiations this week between the US, Haitian and neighbouring leaders and the Caribbean community, otherwise known as Caricom. They've announced the creation of a panel of Haitian leaders to put the country on the path towards elections. But how can elections or even a leader take seat in a condition like this the country's in?
Well, I think one thing that I've heard in terms of commentary from Haitians looking at the composition of the 7-member transitional council that's supposed to pick a prime minister who then picks a government and then leads the country to elections is that most of the members of this transitional council are from the same kind of discredited political class who brought the country over the precipice in the first place. So I think there's a lot of skepticism that they're going to be the ones to set the country on the right track, so to speak.
And the US has a long history, as you mentioned, of intervening in Haiti. Is there any indication that this might be different?
Well, I mean, the creation of this kind of panel has been something that in various manifestations these Haitian actors have been calling for a number of years. I mean, Ariel Henry, who is still the prime minister, he hasn't resigned yet. He's predicating his resignation on the assumption of power of a new government. You know, he basically never had any legal or constitutional authority to occupy the role he had. So, I mean, it's quite a very complicated mess.
And amongst all of this talk of international intervention, gang leaders, in particular Barbecue, has refused to take any international intervention. What does that mean for the country if the gangs that are more or less running the country now won't allow it? Are things just going to spiral into more chaos?
Well, I would say that, I mean, the real energetic activity of the gangs is centered right now in Port-au-Prince and around Port-au-Prince, the capital. It's not something that's at the moment widespread all over the country. And Jimmy Cherizier Barbecue, despite the fact that he's kind of the most media savvy and the one with the most connections to the press of these gang leaders, he's far from the most powerful one. So despite the fact that, you know, he says that they have created this kind of coalition of gangs and they're working for a common purpose, I think we can treat the idea that that will last long term pretty skeptical, because these gangs have a real history of fighting very viciously with one another as well.
You mentioned you've been speaking to Haitians. Can you talk a little bit about the conditions there at the moment and how people are living day to day?
Yeah, I mean, I think conditions have somewhat, they've gotten slightly less violent over the last 2 or 3 days, but still, you know, you have really pitched battles going on in different parts of the capital. You have raids that different gangs are doing in different neighborhoods to try and loot and kidnap people. And you still have, you know, kind of things like the port is not really accessible, the airport is still closed. It's extremely hard to go north or south or east towards the border with the Dominican Republic out of the capital because these gangs still predominate. The official security forces, the police, have been doing a really heroic job in some instances, but they're doing so almost in a piecemeal sense because there's not a real government controlling the activity yet.
All right, we'll leave it there. Michael Deibert, really appreciate your time.
Thank you.